As I stand in the presence of this most wonderful college for women, I am tempted to say a few things here. 10:45 is the time. It's an endowment lecture in memory of Professor Rita Cherian. But officers like us, we get a mic, we love our own voices. We go on. So I think I need a bell from Professor Helen, or from Professor Betsy, or Professor Annie Kuriachan. But it's a wonderful day. After a long spell of heat wave in Chennai, we had beautiful rains, and your college looks very pristine, very beautiful, and you're all adding to that beauty of this place. And I'm privileged to be part of this Professor Rita Memorial Lecture today. I'm happy to see the family of Professor Rita here, late Professor Rita here, Jacob sir, his son Sushir, Ms. Sushir, his daughter-in-law Ms. Tanya. His family has also one more daughter, Sarah, who is in the United States. And a lot of friends and family have come over here. We just met a couple of them here. I met a very senior professor from CMS College, Kottayam, who is here. And my good friend Kuriachan ji is here, his daughter Shilpa, Advocate Ramakrishnan, my very good friend. Then of course, your own director, Abraham Zakaria sir. Very privileged, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Annie Kuriachan, for inviting me. I've talked in most of the colleges, but WCC is the first time I'm coming. And I'm so happy to see this wonderful place, to walk this place where lots of stalwarts have come out. I was looking through the website of your institution. I found that it's extremely, it's filled up with people who have done great service for our nation. Started with Professor Elena McDougall, and then right up to Professor Jasper. You have an elite crowd of professors and leaders who have done Chennai proud. So at this juncture, I would like to remember Professor Rita Cherian, and I'm happy that my predecessor in this lecture was Ennapadam Krishnamurthy. He was an amazing speaker. I hope I live up to his standards. So I was wondering what to speak about Professor Rita, because I had not met her. And I was trying to understand from Professor Annie Kuriachan, Professor Helen. And then today morning I spoke to a good friend, Ranjit Jacob, and his wife, Pramila Jacob, madam. And she gave a lot of insights into what Professor Rita Cherian represented, as it were. And I was fascinated, and it's so wonderful to hear such nice words about a human being. And she said, anything that you can talk about greatness, goodness, and humility, that you can attribute to Professor Rita Cherian. And all the words, kind words that were said, and I could see a tear of happiness and joy in the eyes of Professor Helen when she said, when you see the photo, there's a communion. So I could understand that feeling of empathy is there. So it's amazing to speak about her. Incidentally, so I was wondering what should I speak about her in this lecture, because it's not about me, it's not about us, it's about Professor Rita, and we're trying to remember her. So I managed to, through through Pramila Jacob madam, pick up from your Sunflower magazine, which is your WCC magazine, about something which somebody wrote very beautifully. Deepa Raghavan, BA English 1972. Can I read it for you? It's very beautiful. It's slightly long, but I'll read it for you. Flashback to a day in late June 1969. A bunch of 16-year-olds and some who were 15 years, who were that young then, were waiting in classes, first floor of Doverton. All of you know Doverton. Waiting for the teacher who was going to do the Pride and Prejudice with us. Lo and behold, in walks Jane Austen herself. Very prim and proper, but with a twinkle behind those black rimmed spectacles. And that was our first introduction to Miss Punan. Is that a name? Is a different name? Miss Punan, as we know her. She brought all the characters alive, and while we waited for her, over Darcy, she had this indulgent look which seemed to say, grow up kids, Darcy is not for real. She never ever lost her cool with us, and we were a noisy bunch and much younger than she was. Yet she kept us on check with just a quirk of her eyebrows. Discipline for you. I still remember when she taught us Nicholas Nickleby in our second year. Nicholas had been sent to the Dothbase Hall by his uncle, but she pronounced it differently, and she would say, it is pronounced Do the Boys Hall, because that's where the boys were done. So that's what she says. Years later, it must have been, so she says, she goes on to say, years later she met her and she said, can I walk in? And she said, I don't know whether you'll remember me. And Madam says, why not Deepa? So that's her sharp intellect. So in a very short, small nutshell in your Sunflower magazine, what she represented was captured, and that's why we are all sitting here to think about her, to walk down the memory lane, as it were, with her. And most of the young children sitting here wouldn't know her. I'm sure all of your professors sitting here are your Professor Ritas for you. But she has such high standards, and she was a change maker, she was a leader. So what I would like to talk about in the 20-25 minutes that I've been given until the bell is rung is about leadership, is about women and education, and about our poor. So these are the three things I have flagged in my mind. I hope you don't get bored. You know, in Mussoorie, we have a Mussoorie Academy for Administration, Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy for Administration. I'm sure many of you are preparing for the civil services. Good luck to all of you who are preparing. It's one of the wonderful places to be in. So even in IAS Academy, we used to have 80. Right now we have 160 IAS probationers. So some of us are really, you know, the backbenchers. We'll go and sit in the back and obviously sleep off because these lectures are absolutely boring. So in walks my friend Chappie, and he's a backbencher, perpetual backbencher. But he didn't find any space there. So he came, sat in front on a sofa and slept off, started snoring, fell down, broke the chair. So we used to call it, what is called? KTPs, keen type probationers. So we started calling him keen type probationer, not keen type, kursi thought probationer. I hope I don't break your chairs here. None of you shall sleep. The condition is thou shalt not sleep. If you break that condition, the second condition is thou shalt not snore. And put others to sleep also. Anyways, my talk is about, Rita represented, is all about leadership. You should be very proud, Sushil and Tanya, that you had an amazing mother who was a leader who represented all the things that I would think leadership represents. For me, leadership is trying to communicate a compelling aspiration. How do you tell this aspiration and how do you transform that aspiration in the minds of others? That's, in a short nutshell, what's leadership. But if I break that leadership into 10, 12 alphabets, L would stand for being a good listener. So now you're all good listeners because you're a captive audience. But a leader has to be a good listener. He has to just keep listening to people. So can I put that presentation? I had a few slides which I wanted to show you. See, leadership can be of two types, according to me. One is what I call an incremental leadership. Okay, last year our hall was good. This year our hall is slightly better. But last year our hall was good. This year it's become world class. So this incremental leadership is our bane. The problem our country faces today, and you're all going to be young leaders in the future, think about this. Incremental leadership is our bane. We think about next 5 years, politicians think like that, officers think like that. Everybody thinks for the next 5 years, so we do only small things. We don't do the big things. So the second one I call is the transformational leadership. And I have a very famous theory, which only I know. I call it the IIT of transformation leadership. So if you have this three, I and T, then you become a transformation leader. Can you put this? Okay. So first I stands for integrity, which Professor Rita represented. Integrity is something that your parents transmit through their genes and through their character and through the upbringing. So all of us have different levels of integrity, but integrity is something very critical for transformation leadership. And you don't, I keep saying there's only one life and one death. You don't cringe before, you don't die 100 times. That one death that you die should be the ultimate death. And the best death I have seen is of Professor Kalam, Dr. Kalam, who died while doing what he loved most. He never cringed before anybody. He would say his mind. So the integrity part is important. Second thing about I is innovation. How innovative are you in your creative thinking? Is it possible to flip a problem upside down, 180 degrees, and bring change? And third thing is, and I know how many of you are acquainted with this, I'm sure in your science, mathematics, literature, liberal arts that you teach today, technology is an important part, right? So if you have integrity, innovation and technology, and you have the will to do, you become a transformation leader. Can you see this photograph here? Can you tell me which country this photograph represents? This photo of that country in the 1940s and 50s. You can take a guess. Okay, show the next photo. Yeah, something like that. Next photo. So this is the 1940s and 50s photograph of Singapore. Okay. And somebody thought that this place can be transformed to what it is today. I mean, many of you most of you have traveled to Singapore, but you would have seen on photographs what a country it is. Somebody said that it's possible to transform the country to world-class levels. It was a country which is not, it is a forsaken place, God-forsaken place. Nobody wanted it. China didn't want, Malaysia didn't want, even Great Britain ran away. And then Lee Kuan Yew thought that it is possible to transform this place. That's what I call as transformation leadership. So let's say you look at Chennai city, and I always believe that we can make it a world-class city. Of course, I never got an opportunity. But it's possible. So leadership should think about absolute transformation. So I'm thinking that Professor Rita Cherian would have thought how to transform a class into a lovely class, how to bring those, just not English. So I was also wanting to say that, before joining medicine, I joined BA English Literature in Mary Venice College. That is my passion. If I didn't get for medicine or engineering, instantly I got for both. I would have continued the BA English Literature. That's some of you are most blessed to learn this wonderful language. So transformation leadership is about thinking that the world can be absolutely transformed. You look at Tesla. The person who runs Tesla is, I forget the name suddenly. Elon Musk. He thinks absolutely transformational. He thinks that man can simply go and start a colony in the Mars. That's an amazing way of thinking. So I would like all of you young girls sitting here to think transformationally, because some of you are going to be leaders, political leaders or bureaucracy or professors, whatever, all of you are going to join some company, be an entrepreneur, whatever it is. You have to have these elements of transformational leadership in you. So L would stand for being a good listener. E would stand for being ethical and empathetic. Again, something what Professor Rita represented. You have to be absolutely ethical and you have to be empathetic. You have to put yourself in others' shoe and try to find out why that particular person is not able to come today. Instead of saying, I'll give you a memo. I don't know how many of you are giving memos here. But trying to understand why that person is behaving in a particular manner. Is it possible to transform the way he's thinking? Is it possible to bring in a behavioral change in that person? That's the way we have to think. So E would stand for ethics and empathy. D would stand for direction. And discipline. What is a direction? So I have again one very famous theory which only I know about discipline. I keep saying that the only thing which is equally available to all human beings is not oxygen, it's not water, it's not anything. The President of America, the President of India, you, me, the poor man on the street has only one thing which is common, which is the 24 hours. Right? So that's the only thing which is equally available. As I speak, the seconds are ebbing away. Our life is also ebbing away. We are going to a particular destination. So this 24 hours is what gives us our sun, the moon, the stars, and our life. Right? So how effectively we use the time is important for that transformation leader. So I have this theory which says that if you wake up at 5, you will achieve everything. If you wake up at 6, you may achieve something. If you wake up at 7, you will not achieve anything. Anyways, nothing to do with any of you waking up at 7. What I'm saying is that you have to think very innovatively about your time. How do you manage your time up till 5:45? Incidentally, I don't work, I hold around 9 additional charges, but I've never worked beyond 5:45. I don't take work home or home to work. Every other day I'm outside with my wife. I call it work-wife balance. So it's important to manage your time because we are like mobile phones. All of us are like mobile phones. We need to go and recharge and come back. So you need to, in Europe, Friday, 3 o'clock, everybody's out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Monday onwards, they are the best. Their productivity is some of the best in the world. How productive? We work from 10 to 11 in the night. Absolutely indisciplined way of working. I personally feel that all of us should time our work in such a way that we can finish off all our official duties by 6 p.m. and then be off and do whatever you want to do. You want to be a good musician, go learn music. You want to do painting, you do that. Whatever gives you pleasure, I think you should take it up because that's going to enhance you as a person and bring out the best in you. E stands for leadership. S would stand for, what is S? I forgot. A sphere of influence. A leader, see, for example, if you're a collector in a district, your district, like you're circumscribed by your sphere of influence. In that district only your writ will run, right? If you go to the other district, the other collector will throw you out, right? So it's about the sphere of influence. So we can exercise leadership only within our sphere of influence. But it's possible to improve your sphere of influence by your character, by your thought process, by your energy levels, by your passion. So S would stand for leader, E-R. R would stand for responsibility. For me, the biggest leader of all times, for me personally, is the captain of the Titanic. Because he knew he was going down, but he took responsibility. He stood calm, and he said that, come what may, even if I go down, I'll ensure that others escape to life and liberty. And he did that. That's one of the biggest. Today you don't find leaders like that. They're the first to run away in the times of crisis, right? So if you're a good leader, if you're a transformation leader, you are a person who would stand with your people and will be the first to come into a crisis and last to get out of that crisis. And Professor Rita Cherian also represented that. I'm told on the day she was taken, she still cooked for the entire family. And she was good at home, she was good in work, amazing personality. So S would stand for sphere of influence. Leadership, leader, S. H would stand for happiness. See, God never made us to be very serious. It was never meant to be like that. It was meant to make us happy all the time. But I go into offices and I find people are, their eyebrows are all wrinkled up, they're tense, they're anxious. What's there to be anxious about? If you're very good at time management, there'll be nothing called stress. I'm the best example of that. I never undergo what's called stress. Because I manage my time very well. So one of the things that you can train yourself, I was never like that before. But right now I understand as a leader in government, I'm called to do different things using technology, etc. And bring out the best in others, not the best in me. Best in others will come by being calm, being happy, etc. I would stand for inspiration. And we have talked about Professor Rita, who was an epitome of inspiration. And P would stand for passion. Never leave your passion. See, I've done 25 years in service, and I still look like a probationer to many officers. They say the energy levels are not down anytime. That's because, this is again a fundamental thing which I would like to tell you. You wake up in the morning, you put your best dress, put your best smile, etc. Why do you do that? It's not for yourself. You don't do a thing for yourself. You wake up in the morning. Today I've done all that and come and spoken to you. It's not for me, right? Right? The barber doesn't cut his own hair, or the dentist doesn't pluck his own tooth. The smile and the happiness that you can bring to others by doing yeoman service is the priceless thing. So 95% of your time, you look at, the only time that you are not doing that is when you are a student. So you're all now students, and you are what I call as a taker. You take things. You take money, you take affection, you take love, you take education, you take everything from everybody. To do what? To ultimately become a giver. So this is the essence of life. At one point you are a taker, the other point you are a giver. So when you are on your economic feet, you have to be an absolute giver. So passion is for that. Passion is to see that our people who are struggling, India is actually running in many national highways. You find a very fast national highway, medium national highway, and a really small, poor national highway. Somewhere we have to ensure as leaders that these national highways meet and our people have the best facilities and best what I call as circumstances where they can, their talents and their aspirations can flower and bloom. The second thing, can you go to the next photograph? Second thing which I wanted to tell you was about women and education. And I'm not talking the galleries here. All of you are young girls, young students with a lot of aspirations. But let me tell you one thing. You look at the globe and look at the conflict hotspots of the world. You look at those spots and you will realize that these are locations where women are subjugated. You look at any spot. It's very easy to find out, and you'll find that women are relegated. So I would say that all of you sitting here and all of this in the college, don't ever stay at home. You pass your 10th standard, plus do your degree, become an entrepreneur or get in government service and do a business or become an NGO or whatever, but stand on your economic feet so that you can be equal to the man. So never in a family can there be balance if your wife is not working or wife is not on an economic feet. There will be a lot of imbalances. There will be a lot of issues. So one of the things that India is suffering from, the world is suffering from, is 50% of the population is not producing economically, whereas they have the capability. That everything has been shown to the world that women can do the same, if not more than men. So as leaders, as ambassadors, all of you should spread this message of ensuring that every girl child goes through this. And I've done massive work on this. I brought around 10,000 children out of school in Krishnagiri district. I could track each child online. 70% of the girls were, the children dropouts were girl children. Why they are out? Because they have to take care of the cow or the buffalo, or they have to take care of younger siblings, or generally because the girls are not supposed to be educated. I was in Dharmapuri, I'm nodal officer for Dharmapuri. A lot of young girls are getting married at 12, 13. And if you go to the Kugramams, the households of these women, very poor, let's say, talk about the ultra poor. We don't have real ultra poor in Tamil Nadu today, thanks to the lot of policies and programs that government of Tamil Nadu has taken up. But you'll find these women who are married early, they are 40 to 50 kilos, around 45 kilograms in weight. They have by now produced some 5 children. They are anemic, and on top of that, they are taking care of the family because the husband is in Tasmac shop. Right? Now these are happening in the villages. We are all lucky because we have a circumstance. Our parents were good. It's our duty as leaders to provide that circumstance to our brethren, our people who are in the villages. That's our duty as a nation builder. If you think of it as an institution builder or as a nation builder, our duty is to ensure that our poor come up to our level or higher. The third thing which I want to tell you is about, this is something which may be controversial, but I feel that dowry is an evil. But giving 50% of your inheritance is good for the woman. So the subtle difference. Dowry actually demeans the woman. But if the parents give 50% or equal share of their family property to the woman, that improves her self-esteem in the family she's marrying into. This is something which you should think about. As parents, as children, never ever give a dowry to a young man. And never ever should he demand of a dowry. This is something which is paralyzing this country. A lot of women are getting, if you're a sub-collector, when you're sub-collectors, you do this 164 inquiry under CRPC. Every day there will be a burning to death. Women, they commit self-immolation at very, very poor levels. The dowries are not big lakhs, it's in thousands. But it's subsumed in the psyche of people that we have to have a dowry if a young man is married to a girl. This is something which we have to demolish as a good human being. Third thing which I want to talk to you about was, I'll come to, so these are some of the transformations. I keep talking about this. It's possible to think of something and transform it. I keep doing it all the time. I go to a government office and I find that my office, this is Indian Medicine and Homeopathy, where officers have sat actually. Why should it look like this? Why can't it look like an Infosys or a CTS where you worked? So government offices or any institution, or let's say take your institution, is it looking the best in the world? You would say no. But it can become the best in the world? Yes. I would certainly think that Professor Betsy and Professor Jasper and others can think of making this the most green, the most beautiful, the most vibrant institution in the world. It's possible to think like that at leadership levels. It has to be thought by the leader. Students can. You'll be most possibly part of an NGO, what's called? NCC or NSS or Green Corps. You might want to do a few things. But it's only the leader, Professor Jasper at this level and Professor Betsy, who can think of making this institution of excellence in every part of the way that you can think about. So I was in this institution for 5 months and I keep doing this every organization I go. So they say that you put Santhosh in the worst place, they'll make it very beautiful. I was just before going to Harvard, next. So this is the office it was converted into. It was done in 5 months. Money is always there, money is never an issue. It's our thought process. What I'm trying to say is that when you look at something and you say that this has to become transformed, then that will actually consume you. So I was in Pumpuhar for 4 years. So if you see the international airport here, airports, all the interiors are done by us. I took the initiative and we did the interiors of all the airports in South India. And being a good listener, one of the examples is I do what I call the think tank meeting the first 15 minutes when I join an organization. When an IAS officer joins an organization, even the peon is better than the officer because the domain knowledge he doesn't have. The peon has better knowledge. So I keep listening to people, anything that suggestions can come. So one of the suggestions given by our driver was that, sir, these people are sitting down, they are in a cellar, when you construct 2 more floors. He gave 101 ideas in that think tank meeting. And promptly I took it up and converted a 3.5 crore project. Asked money from government, I didn't get it. I took a loan from Nabadi. Go and see the Pumpuhar office in Mount Road, is one of the most beautiful. But the idea is, that's being a good listener. Next. So keep going. These are the IT parks that were taken up in the villages in Tamil Nadu, in Nilveli, Trichy, Madurai. Keep going. I want to show you something which is transformation. These are in the villages. Next. Just stop there. So rural BPOs, while introducing, Madam Annie Kuriachan told about the rural BPO. Keep thinking about the poor, always. So whenever you have a problem, just like Gandhiji said, think about the poor. It's very easy to get your problems because, the problem with all of us is we look up. When you climb the ladder of success, we look up, but we don't look down. So it's important that we look down and see that lots of people have problems, issues, etc. So there's one village, Kalyana Mandapam. Can you go to the next slide? So this is a Kalyana Mandapam, there's a Manamagal room, Manamagal room, etc. It's going to be demolished. So I said, give it to me. I was just like, this is in 2006. Just next one. This is what I call transformation. This is the first rural BPO in the country. These are 8th standard dropouts. Okay, they're working with a Fortune 500 company called US Allstate Insurance, which is where typing speed was 15 words per minute. We took it to an industry standard of 75 words. Their speaking, reading English was nil. They were in NDTV 60 minutes for 1 hour. And they couldn't do anything. But we got these girls literally from the streets of Krishnagiri, find them, and it's possible to transform. That's what I keep saying. Never ever a girl should remain at home, especially in the villages. They'll be disused, abused, misused, you name it. It all happen. They should be out doing either education or standing on the economic feet. Can you go to the next slide? So this is what I call it. Next. So these are the girls who would otherwise be, in the homes doing this. Next. So essentially we all have the potential. We are walking, talking molecules of potential. It's how that potential can be unleashed is what leadership should bring about. This is again another building which we actually transformed in 52 hours. Next. So this is what we transformed to. Next. I keep doing all this all the time, 24/7 I keep doing it. Next. This is where Dr. Kalam himself personally called and came and spent a whole day. Amazing man. Just walks in his pure inspiration. The ability to be humble and simple. This is a person to look up to. If ever we have a leader who can simply inspire by his mere presence, it's this man. We miss him totally today. Next. So I come to the last slide, and I hope I have not crossed your time limit. So this is something which I want you to carry in your heart and mind and lungs and liver. Okay. Think about this room. Think about this place. I keep talking about this. Is an often repeated thing. This place, this auditorium, this very beautiful auditorium, wood panel, oak panel, you name it, so beautiful. But who built it? It's some poor mason, some kayal, somebody who has no access to it the moment the building is complete. Have you thought about it? When they build it, you are very happy to come in and say, okay, this is not right, that's not right. It's all completed, but the moment the building is complete, they have no access to it. Right? Look at your roads. Who builds your roads? It's again the poor. Right? But the moment the road is complete, who plies the vehicles? It's us. They don't have a vehicle. But they are not the best of the people. The poor are really the best because their thoughts process are not actually behaviorally modified by leadership. Because the moment we think about the poor, we think about the cook at home or the gardener at home. They are not really good people because they try to steal or do certain things which you don't like. But why? That's because they don't have a circumstance like you or me. And who gives us our food? Our farmers. They give us 3 to 4 square meals a day, and they themselves in penury. Or look at my artisans. They give such beautiful items, they are also in penury. So the poor literally cross-subsidizes our happiness. This is what I want you to think about. Our happiness today morning is because somebody has cooked for us, somebody has cleaned our houses, right? Somebody has removed the cobwebs, as it were. So our happiness has come from that. So it's our sublime duty to ensure that at some point in time in the history of our nation, when we are alive and kicking and doing things, they come up in life, their children come up in life, they believe their aspirations can reach sky level. Lots of small things. Somebody doing a hotel work, he becomes an IAS officer. A few things here and there, very inspirational stories happen, but not on a global basis. We have to ensure that. So that's about leadership, and I'm sure all of you, and some of you will become IAS, IPS, IFS officers. Think about what you can do for your country. As Lincoln said, not what the country can do for you. There's such a lot that we have gained out of the system that we have to give back. This is the essential message I want to pass on to all of you. I feel absolutely privileged standing here before this amazing institution, and I'm told by Professor Abraham Zakaria that the new old building is around 200 years old. Just imagine the forethought, the vision of those institution builders. They are the real nation builders. So, with these words, again, the literature student in me doesn't want to stop. So the daffodils come to my mind. William Wordsworth. What is that? Yeah, I wandered lonely as a cloud over the vales and hills, when all of a sudden I saw a crowd, host of golden daffodils. So I'm sure Professor Rita Cherian's relatives, dear and near, your hearts flutter, dance for her, and keep her memories alive and awake. God bless. Thank you for the opportunity.